Hi, it's Simon. It's Monday afternoon, and I must admit for the last 20 minutes I've been thinking about what to share. I've done a few videos, but hopefully this one will capture attention, will be valuable to you. So the first thing I want to talk about is plans and planning. I've made some plans today to do some things. Some of those things I've done, and some I haven't yet. I'm also present too. I've enjoyed the fact the day has been a glorious sunny day. I've got to interact with a few people I care about, and we've been preparing and planning for what's coming up from Apple this afternoon. Now, that aspect of planning is so important, and yet it's easy in the modern world to have almost infinite options, things happening again and again and again and again that we can watch or listen to, we can speak to, we can get drawn by our intuition or drive ourselves to take actions that we committed to. So planning becomes more important, and how do we plan in a world that is so full of dynamic changes? Well, most people, if you ask them how they're planning, how they're prioritizing, they'll make up something. And the truth of it is we're all doing that all the time. We're making it up, doing our best. And the challenge, I think, is to then learn how to weigh, count, and measure how we're doing at that. And it isn't always obvious. Sometimes the best results I've had over decades happen sort of from the mistakes. Can you hear that a little bit? So the best results happened when they weren't supposed to. Things happened that weren't planned, and yet they seemingly produced the best new relationships, the best events, the best business results. So how do you plan for things that aren't plannable for? Well, that's a big conversation. Now today, Apple will be sharing something at the WWDC event. This is their Worldwide Developer Conference. We'll be watching their two public conferences, and we'll be reviewing what they've been doing with the apps and other things they've done this year, as we can't have a live event. Now, more than that, this comes up to this question of impact and influence. So generally when we're planning, we're looking for something to change, to make a difference in one area or another, to have a result. And so that comes down to this question of what makes that possible, what changes the likelihood, what makes the impact, what makes the influences that will get that result to happen. Now sometimes it is obvious and easy, there are proven methodologies, there are systems we can use. But often I think today we live in a world that is impacted and influenced in a whole different way. When I went out earlier for some food shopping, sort of the one member of staff made a big difference because of who she was being, and it wasn't about the uniform or the policies. She just was actually present with me, and that aspect of presence can be so important. But had I not been in the mood I was and they'd been in the mood they were, it might not have gelled that way, and I might be just seeing what I'd like to see. We don't know unless we weigh, count and measure, and so planning becomes really important. But I go back to this aspect that today it's almost impossible to plan if you plan the way people used to plan. If you base your planning based on assumptions, and those assumptions are so suddenly variable, what can you do? Well, I think we can start with those questions, and questions and inquiry become really important. We can allow ourselves to give a time to pause, stop and reset. But we also have to take action, and we have to learn how to take action in a whole different way if we want to leverage really what's available. So I'm going to head back in, we're going to watch the Apple events, and later on a conference call where with some of our partners and future partners, we interact, we ask questions, and we really explore what came out of it, what people saw. Now that's one of my top tips for you if you're planning and changing what you're doing, is to build around you a mastermind team, because the truth of it is we only have 2 eyes, 2 ears on the best of days, and it needs some of us to work together to sort of see things we may have missed and to have different perspectives. And new perspectives are so vital in life and business. It can make all the difference. And so today, whether you're planning on watching the Apple event or not, be open to it, or seeing what comes out of it in the news. And if it doesn't come up in the news for you, just notice that. Notice this giant event happened that you didn't even notice. And there's so much of that happening in the world today. We live in a very big world, lots of things happening, people being very creative, but most of what we get to know about is a very, 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 very thin layer. And that I think is quite interesting, because what might be beneath the surface about to emerge, and I hope it's good. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.